Our next video is going to do a little place value, but now with decimals, and then I'll even get into fractions with you. And I'll kind of show you how that works and what we're working on. So we have our regular number here, and it's going to be color-coded throughout the whole problem, and that will really help you kind of see what's supposed to go where and why and when. Right? We have, again, a 3 in the hundreds place, a 1 in the tens place, a 7 in the ones place. Again, our decimal point, a 2 in the tenths place, and a 9 in the hundredths place. We would read this number as 317 and 29 hundredths. Right, and I'll show you kind of the regular way that we would do this in expanded form. This is the decimal version. And the blue 300, again, we have a 3 in the hundredths place becomes 300. We have 110, which is 10, and we have 7 ones, which is 1. And over here are 2 tenths. And if you're kind of trying to figure out where that works, you notice that the 2, the orange 2, is right after the decimal point. You notice down here, my 2 is right next to the decimal point. Now the purplish 9 is in the hundredths place. You notice again there's 2 spots after the decimal. And the same thing happens here. Here's our decimal point, and then 1 space, and then 2 spaces. So that's the decimal version of it. This is the fraction version that shows you that same exact thing. 300 obviously stays the same. 10 is still 10. 7 is just regular old 7. And then instead of calling it, again, we read both of these as 2 tenths. Again, there's a 2 in the tenths place. And I talked about in the last video, I remember it by the number of zeros. There's only 1 0 here. So you notice there's only 1 spot after the decimal. Our 9 hundredths, and we read it the same way as the decimal, 9 hundredths. That's where the 9 is. It's in the hundredths place. We have 9 out of 100 or 9 hundredths. And 2 zeros, you'll notice 2 spots after the decimal. Then I'm going to show you something new. This is expanded form. This will be more of the 5th grade version I keep talking about. This is where the 5th grade is going to start next year. After the first week or two, this is what you're going to work on. It's the same exact idea. It's just a different way to show it. Instead of calling it 300, I'm saying 3 times 100. It's just the digit. It's the digit 3, and 100 is the place it's in. I have the number 1, and it's in the tens place, 1 times 10. I have the number 7, and it's in the ones place, 7 times 1. And then what number is in my tenths place? Well, I look up above. Again, it's color-coded. I did that on purpose. Even though this is the problem from your example, it was helpful because it was such a good example. I wanted to use it again. Right? There's a 2 in the tenths place. And then same thing here. What number is in the hundredths place? I left a little blank one. And obviously I look up above. What number is in the hundredths place? It's a 9. This would be the expanded form. And with multiplication and addition, these are plus signs in the middle. You're adding these all together separately. That's with fractions. And then now with decimals, I'll show you that same thing. And I brought this one down, so I have to scroll all the way back up. Right? What is the value of 300, or how many hundreds do I have? And you can look, and obviously I have 3 hundreds. How many tens do I have? Well, there's only 1 number in the tens place. How many ones do I have? There's a 7 in that ones place. So see, the second number after the multiplication sign kind of tells me what place I'm in. Right? I had 3 hundreds. I had 1 10. I had 7 ones. What number comes right after the decimal point? All these numbers, again, they times by 1, which means it stays the same. Like 3 times 1 over here is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 7 times 1 is 1. When I put the 2 here, 2 times, again, 0.1, or 2 times 1 tenth, will end up making 2 tenths. And then what number is in that same spot, 2 places after the decimal? And that is a 9. You would then go back and make that original number of 317 decimal point 29. that's kind of in there. You can almost get it up there. Okay, from there. There's our original number, 300. It's always that blue 3. There's a regular 300 or 3 times 100. That purple 1, that light purple. 10, 10, or 1 times 10, 1 times 10. That green 7 in the ones place. 7, 7, 7 times 1, 7 times 1. You can either decimal point with a 2, and we read all these as 2/10. 2/10 again. 2 times 1/10, or 2 times 1/10 in the decimal form. 0.09, we read that as 9/100. We read this as 9/100. 9 times 100th, or 9 times 100th as a decimal. And that's how we would go through and work on those different parts. Okay, great job. And I will do a live action version of this in a minute.